Should you go to Mickey's not-so-scary Halloween party with kids? This is probably the question I get the most often, right after questions about Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party and whether people should stay in DVC villas. Two topics I will address in another video. Today is all about Mickey's not-so-scary Halloween party, which I call Mickey's Not-So-Scary for short. Now, I've blogged before about this topic after my first trip with kids, and this remains both a popular event and also a popular debate amongst Disney fans. Is this admittedly fun, spookily themed event worth it with kids? Of course, as with so many Disney and also life decisions generally, this is a personal one and opinions vary. So please tell me your opinions and thoughts in the comments. I would love to hear them. As a dad and frequent Disney World visitor with 3 young ones, and having visited with 2 little ones and then all 3, I'll be focusing on whether you should go with little kids aged 5 and below. Briefly, what is Mickey's Not-So-Scary Halloween Party? This is an after-hours Halloween-themed party at the Magic Kingdom in Disney World. Magic Kingdom is one of the 4 theme parks at Disney World in Orlando. After hours means you need a separate ticket, sometimes referred to as a hard ticket, to enter. This is a ticket specifically for after hours events and is different from a regular day ticket. This means you cannot buy this ticket and get into the Magic Kingdom before the event starts. On the flip side, you cannot buy a regular theme park ticket and attend the Halloween party. If you do have a regular day ticket the day of the event, cast members will eventually form a wall around various lands and start asking for your wristband at the start of the event. The event runs on select nights starting in August. You heard that right. Halloween starts in the summertime in Orlando, all the way through Halloween night. Tickets are already on sale for guests with the resort reservation during the dates of the party in the fall. Tickets for everyone else go on sale this week on May 22nd. Tickets range in price from $119 per person to $229 per person. It is more expensive to go in October, of course, because it's the Halloween season. And we're also seeing an increase in all of the prices, with the highest ticket in October this year being about $30 higher than last year. This is not a cheap event, and if you have a large family like I do, it adds up really quickly, especially with taxes. Finally, with your ticket, you can get into the theme park at around 4 p.m., but the event doesn't officially start until 7 p.m., which means you can have fun at the park early, but you are mixed in with regular day guests. I will get into whether that is a good thing or not later in this video. All right, what does this ticket get you, and what can you expect from the event? One of the biggest things to me is the decor and the vibes. Magic Kingdom is dressed up for Halloween with pumpkins and buntings, spooky decor. That is also available during the day. But at night during the event, it's elevated because moody lights, smoke machines, light projections, fun Halloween music comes alive for a truly fun and what I think is a lively environment. My kids and I both enjoyed this part of the event, and seeing everyone in their costumes just leaning into the Halloween season really adds to the fun. There are also fun ride overlays, which means they change the ride just a little bit from when it's running during the day. There's additional music on the rides, additional lighting, such as on the Mad Tea Party and on Space Mountain, and specialized treats at various locations around the park. Upon entry, you're given a trick-or-treat bag, and you can trick-or-treat at marked locations all around the Magic Kingdom. This is one of the most fun things you can do, and Disney does not hold back, and you will walk away with a ton of candy. And because this is Disney after all, you can expect allergy-friendly options. At the trick-or-treat station, simply collect a teal coin, and then before you leave, find the location that you can redeem the coins for allergy-friendly options. Special event shows include Hocus Pocus Villain Spectacular, a stage show in front of Cinderella Castle that runs several times a night. Disney's Not So Spooky Spectacular, a fireworks and projection show hosted by Jack Skellington. And finally, the most popular, Mickey's Boo to You Parade, perhaps the best Disney World parade. Popular characters are in their Halloween costumes, the villains are front and center, and the Haunted Mansion-inspired characters also appear in this parade. Other fun appearances include what's called the Grave Diggers, who use shovels and scrape the ground and create sparks as they go down Main Street, which is one of my favorite things to see. Okay, so the main point. Is this worth it with kids? Now, I went a couple of years ago for the first time with my oldest 2, who were aged 2 and 1, and then again last year with all 3 of my kids, where the youngest was about 14 months old. Thus far, my kids go with me on every trip as I want to experience everything with them. Like I said, I go a frequent amount, and I'm not the kind of fan to expect everything to be magical because that's just not realistic. And also, I'm a parent. I have kids, and trust me, I know not every moment is magical. That said, the Halloween party was the first event where I felt it was all too much and not for the better. Let me tell you why. Arrival time. Like I said, you can get in at 4 p.m. and you enter just like you would on a normal day, but instead you also collect a wristband. I have a funny story. On my last trip, I saw a cast member call out a person just before the parade started, meaning that person had made it through most of the event night up until the first parade, and then the cast member finally found them and loudly asked for the wristband and then escorted them out of the theme park. So don't try that on your visit. Anyway, while the arrival time of 4 p.m. can be helpful, you're going to be mixed in with regular day ticket holders trying to, understandably, squeeze out the last hours of their trip. Getting there early can be great to get situated, grab some food, and shop for some merch. On the earlier event dates, the merch line kind of flies off the shelves, so this could be a big deal if that's important to you. Some people use this time to get in line early, as in hours before the Halloween party, for popular characters like Jack Skellington and Sally. You might be thinking, who would do that in the Florida heat? Well, as I'll get into later, this event is filled with so many things to do that you will likely spend a lot of time waiting in line, and some people choose to front load that with characters. Others, like myself, choose to eat dinner during this time because, as I will discuss later, the restaurants are still open and many other ones close during the party, limiting your options. A quick dinner reservation or quick service option goes a long way before the party starts, as I'll explain. Another option is to ride your favorite ride so you can do the shows and focus on the parade during the event. However, this can be tricky, as I have found that regular day guests, like I said, they're trying to squeeze in all they can and have fun, and so the lines for those rides might be a little long. We've had some luck here because sometimes we'll walk onto, let's say, Pirates or Find Seven Doors with like less than a half hour wait time, but it kind of depends on the night, and so I wanted to highlight that the ability to arrive at 4 can be helpful, but it's not going to be the biggest advantage for the party-specific experiences. Moving on to food. Let's talk about food. Remember I mentioned that specialized treats are available at the party? There are so many specific treats and beverages to try, but due to their popularity, there are long lines for all of them. I don't like to wait to eat, and I struggle with waiting about a half an hour or so for the meals. And speaking of meals, most of the table service restaurants and a lot of the quick service restaurants are actually closed during the party. So I was surprised during my first visit when we were getting kind of hungry and our options were rather limited. Either the very few quick service restaurants, we don't want to waste too much time in the table service restaurants, and then the Halloween treats had long lines, and a lot of the food can be spicy or super sugary or not kid-friendly, so we were sort of limited in our options, and what the options that we did have had long waits, so something to consider. Trick-or-treating. Similar to the food, the lines can be long to get the candy, and while you don't need to wait as long for other things that I'm going to discuss, this took much longer than I anticipated, and I feel like last year at the most recent event, I noticed longer lines. I don't know if they're letting more people in or everyone was just really excited for candy on that evening, but it's getting more popular, and expect yourself to walk down long and winding paths that may not be the most exciting to do for your littlest ones. All right, characters. There are so many unique characters that are out and about during Mickey's Not So Scary. And like I mentioned, people are going to line up for them, and early, and the entire night. I kid you not, every time I have attended this party, the lines for the characters are some of the longest, and they wind up and around attractions and lands, and people seem totally okay with that. This is admittedly a matter of preference, as I've never been huge on character meets, but my kids do enjoy them, so I wait in line for them. But they don't really like waiting that long. So similar to the snack lines, expect a long wait to get to the characters. And this may not be a huge deal for you, but if you have little ones who want to run and play and ride rides, this may not be the most enjoyable experience for them and or you. Let's talk about shows and parades. Between the Hocus Pocus stage show, the fireworks show, and the parade, you could have enough fun doing all of those things and those things alone. But let's break this down practically speaking. The parade runs twice a night, and as of last year, the first event is at 8:15 p.m., which is great for those of us with little ones. Disney moved up the time last year and will be doing so again to cater to those of us with the smaller kids. But due to its popularity, people start lining up about an hour early, which is, you got it, 7, when the party actually begins. You could be there after 4 and stick out your spot, but consider doing that with kids in the hot weather. Notice the recurring theme. If you want a good vantage for the Boo to You parade, which don't get me wrong is awesome and probably my favorite parade in Disney World, you will need to find your spot and wait for a show pretty early. In my experience, at after-hours events, people are starting to line up at least an hour early. Not only is waiting for another hour with kids not fun, but it stops you from riding rides, meeting characters, trick-or-treating. So depending on your plans, you're having to select which experiences to do, which is expected because there's so much to do, but regardless of what you choose, you're going to be waiting in line. And this is where I start debating whether it's worth it for me and my kids because we paid so much and we're just effectively standing around. Maybe it's that I don't feel productive, I'm not sure, but it's something I feel worth highlighting. Further, you will need to find a good spot for the Hocus Pocus show and then later the fireworks show, which is usually around 10 and very late for the youngest kids. Anyway, imagine you hypothetically waited for a good spot for the parade, you do the same for Hocus Pocus, and then you do the same in the hub for the fireworks show before Cinderella Castle. This is a lot of waiting around in the center of the theme park without doing much else, including riding rides. As someone who loves rides, this can be hard, and trust that I've gone and not rode rides before. Check out my Jollywood Nights video from last year if you want. But the bottom line is the shows and parade can eat up a lot of your night, and you're sort of waiting around for all of them to start, so you're sort of tethered to this area as you wait. Lots of waiting. My wife and I often split up who is going to wait while the other is riding rides, but we're not going to focus strategy here. I just wanted to highlight that for you. Lastly, rides. This is the bright spot because to me, you can knock out a lot of rides on a party night. If you play your cards right, you can ride some with low weights before the event, like I mentioned, and most of the rides during the event, especially during the parades and the shows, because people are focusing on those. That's fine by me. And while others might choose to prioritize the Halloween specialty events, you might want to consider that you can ride these rides at night, which is cool, with lower wait times without purchasing an individual lightning lane. All right, so is it worth it? This Disney Die Hard may shock you when I say no, at least not for the littlest ones. That's fine. Not everything is for kids and babies and toddlers. It's just for me, this event is too much as an experience and financially. For a family of 5, you're close to $1,000 for one night. If you add this to your vacation where you're already spending a lot of money on tickets in a resort, that's costly. There's too much time spent in lines. I don't like lines, but I get it's part of the Disney experience. But for every chocolate, lollipop, drink, popcorn bucket, character, parade, and show, it's too much. It feels like you're in a loop listening to peppy Halloween music as the events go on. Maybe I would have the same issues without my kids and the waits were just exacerbated with them in tow. It's just odd seeing the park empty relative to a regular day as you wait around. However, don't expect COVID-era emptiness. It's going to be packed and there will be crowd crunches by popular things. Finally, it's chaotic. With everyone bunching around the things to do, it feels like a rat race, a competition, and that's just not how I want to feel on vacation or at a theme park, despite the expectation that crowds will be there. I caught myself looking around and wondering, why am I rushing? Who am I doing this for? And so we resigned each time to just letting the kids play and do what they want and getting treats without the long lines and, of course, staking out a spot for the parade. And it was fun and we had a great time. But was it worth the high admission price? To me, not so much. And don't get me wrong, I plan on going this year just without my kids. And funny enough, though we don't know a lot about the new things coming this year, for example, the new treat menus are not live as of the date of me uploading this video, we do know that there are some changes geared towards kids. For example, Mickey and Minnie are now going to be meeting at Town Square Theater where you can normally meet Jack Skellington and Sally. And interestingly, according to Disney, Storybook Circus will be transformed to a happy haunt for families with younger children. But Disney hasn't quite elaborated on what exactly that entails. It's as if Disney knows the party is moving away from being kid-friendly, its core audience, at least practically speaking. All right, those are my thoughts on whether you should go to Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party with kids. Do you agree? Disagree? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching, and please consider subscribing.